empty the chamber on them. And how do you do that? 4 to 6 seconds, 0.8 feet, everything you got. Everything you got. Turn that shit up. Let's go. Welcome to Scoop World Order, huge Saturday edition. We appreciate you guys being live with us. I have Nevada Buck with me. We are going to talk a huge surprise return. Josh Proctor back for year 6. Big recruiting news. The Jaden Davis stuff is going crazy. NIL deals are popping off, which is great. People hate NIL, but it's really good for maintaining our roster. So got a big one popping that we're going to break here today. And then we're going to talk and take your questions. As always, your questions have been fantastic. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really enjoy interacting with you guys. This has been great. So that being said, as always, start every show off the same way. Thankful and grateful for you guys. Thank you so much. BuckeyesCoop.com is where you need to be at. We have game threads going for the 2 NFL games that are kicking off now. Buckeye basketball got off the schneid and one on a big junior day today. We were hosting a lot of kids. I believe Brandon Innes came up today to see the staff. Really, really good day today for the Buckeyes. Big day with Josh Proctor coming back. So appreciate you guys. If you enjoy this, please click like and subscribe. We can't thank you guys enough. The subscriptions have been flying up for our YouTube page. So thank you guys. It's all because of you. Comment. Who are you most surprised to see back for an additional year? I'm really excited that Josh Proctor's back. He's a guy that I was really excited about last year. His teammates were excited about him, and his teammates are really excited he's back for year 6. I think he's going to be locked in because I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think he's got a lot of ability to do it. So with that being said, I'm going to bring in my good friend, Mr. Nevada Buck. Nevada, how are you today?
I'm doing good up in Cleveland, getting ready. I saw the debacle that was the Cavs game last night, and getting ready to see the Giannis-less Milwaukee Bucks play the Donovan Mitchell-less Cavaliers. So the NBA is less than fantastic, but I will be there for the second game in a row tonight.
So if you're the commissioner of the NBA, what do you do as these teams do more of this load management BS? Because I think it's Bush League. I really hate it because people spend good money on that, and people in Cleveland get really excited to see Steph Curry. There's kids that nationally love the Warriors just because they've been really good. Probably a lot of kids showed up in Steph Curry's jerseys last night to watch Jordan Poole and whoever else, Andre Iguodala or whatever. What would you do to fix that? This is not going to be a big NBA podcast, but I'd love to hear for 2 seconds just your thoughts on that.
Well, I think there should be big fines when teams do this. If players aren't injured and they're sitting, there should be like a $5 million fine or something significant enough to the franchise, because it just rips the fans off. The NBA wants to make it all about the stars, but then they don't play the stars. And, they say, oh, well, let's, reduce the number of games this season, but that's not a solution, because they would just sit them more games during that. And also it would reduce all the revenues, 10, 15, 20%. The players aren't going to take types of pay cuts. So I would assign big fines to the teams that do it. And, like I said, it was bad. It left a bad taste in our mouth for sure with the NBA, but that's why we're talking football.
That's right. So huge news, stuff that we didn't expect, broke late last night. Josh Proctor is back for year 6. Really interesting kid, a kid that, again, when we talk about certain guys and we really, believe what we hear, we have great sources. I talked to, current players, people in the building. They were really high on Josh Proctor. Again, Jim Knowles on August 12th said he could be the best safety in America. So it is like part 2 of the best safety in America talk. Nevada, how excited are you that Josh Proctor is back in tandem with Lathan Ransom in the back end of this defense?
Well, I think it's huge, and I think it's huge for a number of reasons. Look, we know Josh can play. I mean, Josh was a good player before, and Josh was an impact player, and Josh has had some really good practices. Josh has had some really good bowl prep. Josh is a very flexible guy. And what I like most is just the fact that he is coming back, because 1, it shows that his head's right. It shows that 2, that the Jim Knowles has painted a picture for him of how he can utilize him in this defense, that he's bought into that he believes it. And to me, that's almost as important as anything else. I just think it's indicative of a strong culture within the program. Guys wanting to come back. I mean, guys don't come back often for 6 years, and he could have gone anywhere. Josh could have. There's a lot of other places like he could have gone to and taken his talents. He decided to stay in Columbus to stay with this Buckeye defense. And to me, I think there's an obvious benefit to it, but I think there's a hidden benefit as well. And I think it all bodes well for the OSU defense.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that getting a 6-year guy back who, again, like I talk to guys in the program and they say this guy he's I hate the word he's a dog, but like literally it's like a complimentary way of saying that the guy is tough, he's physical, he's violent, he's a guy that could be an enforcer back there. And again, he just has to lock in and just do the little things and the right things correctly. Because there's sometimes he gets caught out of position, gets a little aggressive, freelances a little bit. And there's no quicker way to the doghouse with Jim Knowles or any other coach in the universe than freelancing on defense. So I love it because, for a guy like that who thought going into the year, potential NFL guy, potential draft pick, and the year didn't go the way he wanted, he gets a mulligan. Like these guys, you don't normally get a 6-year, but he gets to take advantage of it. And, when you're a guy like Josh Proctor and you've got the ability, you've got the physicality, you got to look in the mirror and say, hey, look, if I lock in this year, then I get to play football again next year in the National Football League. I get like a redo on, there's a lot of guys I've seen that have had their 5th years not go the right way. They don't get drafted and then they're off into the ether. He gets a 6-year in the system. I'm sure he had really big talks with Jim Knowles, really big talks with Perry Eliano, Ryan Day. Hey, what can we do to get everything out of me, get the most out of me? And I think that, it's a huge add to our defense. Like to get that much veteran presence on the defense, a leader, a tough guy, a guy that the players respect. Like I'm telling you, because the only way I know the players respect him is I talk to the players and they tell me this kid's a dog. So, I'm not there every day. The players are there every day. The players know who the players are. So very excited about Josh Proctor. We're going to take some questions out. You guys these are some fantastic questions. Appreciate you guys. As always, Mike, thank you. I know you're in here a lot. Nevada, do you think with Josh it was a mental positional thing that was the reason why he got benched? Because I can't see it as a physical thing because physically he's a freak of nature. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've talked about this before, and it was a great mystery as to why he wasn't there. And I mean, the only thing that I've ever heard or seen or been able to conjure up that makes any sense to me was that Knowles really wanted to find a place for Tanner McAllister. He was somebody he was comfortable with. He was somebody he'd seen play before at Oklahoma State. Had followed him over, and when Josh made some mistakes, it was easy to make the hook, go to Tanner, and just never kind of look back. And I think that's probably as good an explanation as any, because like you said, I talked to people in the building as well. And, while Josh Proctor is certainly not perfect, I mean, he was a guy that everybody was excited about, and everybody was excited about what he can do, and especially in this kind of a defense. And I think he has the kind of playmaking ability that we really kind of lacked on a defense that really was looking for playmakers. So, when I heard he was leaving, I was like, I figure sometimes these are best for all involved to kind of go get a greener pastures, because he's certainly capable of playing and maybe he just needs the chance. But the fact that he's going to be doing here in Columbus for a 6-year, like I said, I could not be more excited. And I know some people are kind of like, oh, ho hum, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I put me in the very excited category for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm really excited about Josh Proctor coming back because again, these guys, he gets that extra mulligan year, man. It's his contract year. He wants to play in the league. He wants to be a professional at it. Year 2 in the system, it's kind of one of those things, burn the boats and don't look back and just go have that big year that everyone expects you to have. This is a great question. Appreciate you. Peace Clan afternoon, gents. This is great. Nevada, what is a bigger concern for you right now for Ohio State football? The offensive line or the cornerbacks? Great question.
Cornerbacks by a mile. I'm not worried at all about the offensive line. I mean, I think it's going to be a team strength. And like I said, I'm very excited about the offensive line. I think we've got 4 guys that have started at Ohio State. We've got another guy that's that started elsewhere. And let me tell you what, the kid that's coming in, I don't know how much you've talked about this on other stuff, Kirk, but like this kid's coming in. Justin Fry likes him a lot, and they're not looking at him as a depth guy. They're looking at him as a guy that could maybe come in and contribute right away. Maybe a guy's going to grab a starting spot. So whether he will or not, we'll find out, soon enough, and with spring ball and into fall camp. But they like him an awful lot, and he steps in. Then you've got 5 guys who have all started college games on the offensive line. Cornerback got some real concerns. I think it's a legitimate area of inquiry. We've got one decent one in Denzel. I think he'll have a decent year. Need to find another one, but that's a concern. Offensive line, I really don't have any concerns.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that you bring in a guy who's got 20 starts, regardless of the level. I mean, people were all excited about a kid from Rhode Island. Well, if Rhode Island played a team from the Sun Belt, they'd get waxed. So I'm just letting you know this kid played a higher level than the Cornelius kid from Rhode Island. And Justin likes this kid. He's going to compete at center, which means he can also compete at guard. Again, I think that, if you have him, Enoch, and Matt Jones on the interior, that's fantastic. You put Donnie at left tackle or left guard. You put Zen at left tackle, Donnie at left guard. Again, there's a lot of guys that have a lot of position flexibility from the interior, inside out. Josh Fryer. Again, if I was Justin Fry today, I'd put Donnie at left tackle. I'm not sure if he'll do that. I'm sure he's going to try to put Zen out there because Zen's got more length. But I think Donnie's got the feet to do it, and he did it in high school. He played left tackle in high school. So to me, I put my best guy out there. Even if he doesn't have the absolute prototypical length, I think that Donnie has the functional and weight room strength to do it, along with he's a really twitched up kid, a really explosive kid. And I think that, you put him out there and let guys try to bull rush him because he'll be able to stone him, and his feet are good enough to hang in there versus speed guys. So, Donnie's a guy that I really think highly of. And I think that you put your best guy at left tackle and then build from there. Put Matt at center. And, again, put your guy who's a 6-year guy who really knows the offense inside out. He's got to make the calls. As Jim Bowman used to say, you have to have the balls to make the calls. And, when you got a guy that's been there for 6 years, he's seen a lot. You got to remember, Matt Jones is the last guy left on the team that started the Alabama national championship game. So he's seen some really good teams. He's been through the wars. And I think you put that guy at center and have him lead your offensive line. This is a great, another question. Again, this is something that's always interesting when we have guys that return. Do you believe that Proctor coming back causes Stokes or Sonny to not play much next year? I think those guys both have to be in the mix next year, but what are your thoughts, Nevada?
No, I mean, you can't keep those guys off the field. You're going to have to find, creative ways to kind of get them involved. But it's absolutely the law of unintended consequences. Whenever, somebody unexpectedly comes back, there's one household's rejoicing and somebody else on the team is kind of going, darn, that probably didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. But no, I think both those guys are really, really good players. You've got to find ways to get them on the field. And I think Knowles is smart enough to realize that, because those guys can't sit another season. And, you hate to put the jinx on anybody, but also got to remember there's going to be a transfer portal window coming up after spring practice as well. So if Knowles can't figure it out during the spring, somebody could take off, and that would be less than optimal as well. So they're going to have to figure out a way to feed all these mouths, keep them all engaged, keep them all excited. But I think Knowles is a really, really, really smart guy. This isn't his first rodeo. I think he understands what's at stake, and I think they understand what they need to do.
Yeah, I agree. And again, this is something I'd love to ask you about, Nevada, because this is something that comes up every time somebody portals in or returns or whatever. Because there was a thought, the small, less than 1% chance that CJ Stroud came back. And people said, oh, well, CJ Stroud comes back, then we lose McCord and we lose Devin Brown. So if that happens, oh God, what are we going to do? So talk a little bit about that mentality, because I think it's incorrect, because I'm always excited to have more talent, more guys in the fold than less talent. CJ Hicks put out this big, I don't know if Mark Pantoni or someone in the building asked him to make some recruiting flyer that says, I'm here for the brotherhood, and as long as Tommy and Steele eat, I'm happy and I can wait my turn. Because that was like really bizarre. I mean, I get why they do it because, people think that with Tommy and Steele coming back, that CJ's going to potentially be a portal guy. And he's saying that he's not going to be a portal guy. But talk a little bit about like kind of the attitude of, oh, well, if CJ comes back or this guy comes back or whoever comes back, we lose the guys behind them. And that's negative. Because I always laugh at that. And I think it's funny. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't laugh at it from a standpoint of it's a real thing. I mean, it's, if it could impact other guys' decisions if other guys come back. So I think from that standpoint, it's not a laughing matter. But from the reality of college football today, I think you just got to put the best team that you can on this upcoming year, and you let the future handle itself. You don't worry about who are the offensive tackles going to be in 2026. These silly theoretical discussions about future depth charts, because the depth charts are going to be so fluid between portal and transfers and incoming guys and outgoing guys that you just can't worry about that stuff anymore. And as a fan, you just got to retrain yourself to let's keep our eyes on what's right in front of us, and what's right in front of us is how do we put the best team on the field for 2023. And that certainly involves Josh Proctor. So, from my standpoint, that's a very positive thing.
Neil Harris, appreciate you. You always write the 401 dudes. That's one of my favorite things ever. And then you put a comment, one of Nevada's favorite comments. Neil Harris, Nevada Bucks' new favorite poster. I can't remember the Buckeyes having a bad O-line. Do you agree with that, Nevada?
Well, when was it? When was the last time you had a Buck?
Probably when I played. I don't know. It's been at least 20 years. I don't know. I can't remember like when we played, because it was funny you asked me that question, like when was the best time we had a better line? I was like, I don't know, 2011. You're like, well, Kirk, who started in 2011? I was like, Jack Mewhort, draft pick, second round. Mike Adams, draft pick, second round. Norwell, highest paid guard in the history of the NFL when he signed his contract. Lindsley was a backup, highest paid center in the history of the NFL. Brewster, should have been drafted, first team All-American. So I was like, okay, you win, Nevada. You absolutely win. You're right. We were okay in 11, even though I was there. I just was. Go ahead.
Well, let me just ask you the question. Okay, when was the last time that we heard people complaining about the offensive line?
Every year, every day.
Every year.
It is every year, every day. I mean, I'm telling you, it's like one of those crazy things where people love. I call it seeing ghosts. It's like these people see ghosts where it's like, people just they have to have something to worry about. And again, like, it's kind of like, there's this thing where like we didn't recruit well on the offensive line for the last 7 or 8 years, and I'm always like, well, that's funny because I think that the 2021 offensive line room that had 6 guys to make all Big Ten was the most talented offensive line room in the history of Ohio State football. I'll put that top to bottom against any room in the history of Ohio State football. And I'm a guy, I've been in rooms where I walk into that room and I'm in the meeting and I look around and half the guys will never play. I just know that if these guys ever play, we're in trouble. I mean, when I was a player, I mean, the miss rate was astronomically high. And then you go to like the 2021 where it's like you got like Paris and Dewan and Nick Petit and Thayer and Luke Whippler. And then, we've had the most incredible rate of attrition via unnatural events like transfers and Harry Miller retiring. And then, like great events like guys declaring early. So Paris, Dewan, Luke Whippler, Nick Petit Frere. So we've had 4 guys declare early in 2 years. Never happened in the history of Ohio State football. We had 3 guys declare early this year. Never happened in the history. I'm talking on the offensive line, not receiver, not running back, not DB. So, like, is that bad recruiting when all these guys are going pro after 3 years? I think it's the best recruiting in the history of the school, but that's me. We lose Harry Miller, who was a 5-star center from Georgia, who we beat Bama and Georgia on to come to Ohio State. And, he has to retire with very unfortunate circumstances. Luke Whippler, who nobody even heard of, steps in and plays fantastic football and is 3-and-out. So again, and then we also lose Max Ray, who is a high 4-star that we pulled out of Tennessee, and we lose the kid from Trubisky's school up north, and he goes to Pitt, and he starts Ryan Jacoby. So like that's like unnatural to lose and still be able to field an offensive line that's coherent. So I mean, I think that the recruiting's been great, the development's been fantastic, and I think Justin Fry is a great coach. I've known Justin as long as anybody. We played against each other in '06, so I mean, he was at Indiana. We smoked him like 44-6. So he had to join the good guys and join Ohio State, and I teased him about that, but very, very lightheartedly. But Justin is a very good technical coach, and this is when you earn your money. When you have a line like this where you don't have a Paris Johnson, but he still has Donovan Jackson, who's an all big. He was first team All Big Ten as a true sophomore, which is really hard to do. And you just got a good portal guy who's got 20 starts, and this is where it's fun. You got to figure out who can play and put the guys in the right spots and develop them, and you got to grind them a little bit. You got to turn guys that maybe aren't as productive, or it's a unit that a lot of people are down on. And this is always a fun time to coach a position group when the media, the geniuses of the media, are down on you as a group, because then it turns into kind of that us against the world mentality in that little position room. So I'm really excited for the offensive line in Nevada. I think that you're not just saying it as, some sort of propaganda to like make people feel better about Ohio State football. I'm genuinely excited about these guys, and I think that they're going to be really good. And you know who else is excited about them? Justin Fry. So I don't care if everybody else is scared. Justin's not scared. So that's all that matters to me. This is interesting. So we got invited to the Army. So Mike, you're running the Army All-American game, December 2023, running the game, and we get full access. I might take you up on that. And down in San Antonio, that would be a blast. I appreciate you, man. I haven't been down there since the Riverwalk, the Alamo Bowl in 2004. Nevada, have you been to San Antonio?
Many times. Many times. Love that place.
Honest to God, it's funny. When we went to the Alamo Bowl, people, they're down because it wasn't the Fiesta Bowl or the Rose Bowl, but we had a blast at that game because there were no expectations. We had 4 losses. We kind of saved the season because we beat Michigan as underdogs that year, but we had a blast at the Alamo Bowl. Then we went out and just waxed Oklahoma State and finished our year off. So yeah, I would love to take you up on that, Mike. I'll get you my contact information. We'll work that out. That'd be really fun. What else, Nevada? Again, I feel like there's a lot of good energy around the program. Getting Tommy back, Steele back, Josh Proctor, Lathan, Mayan. I asked B. Moses, is this the most loaded group of skill players you've ever seen at Ohio State between the receivers, tight ends, and running backs?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's crazy, but I want to go back and make one more point on the offensive line, then I'll stick a pin in that and I'll get onto this question. But
sure.
This is why people have to understand when, not that I'm being short or curt about the offensive line, but when you reconcile the two positions of all we've heard is complaints about the offensive line every day for the past 20 years, and we haven't had a bad offensive line in 20 years, it's kind of hard to take it really seriously about the offensive line. That's my only point. So yes, now to your point about skill players, yeah, it's a loaded room with the skill players is just absolutely silly. And defensively, you look at our team and you kind of go, who could have gone that would have weakened this unit? Well, Lathan could have pulled one of those. I'm going to the pros, and we all say, wow, shouldn't have done that or whatever. Josh Proctor could have gone to Florida, or whatever. Tommy Eichenberg could have declared for the draft very easily, and it had that happened, our defense is looking different. You know what I'm saying? Our defense is looking different. We talked about the young guys, and we talked about how excited we are to see them play, but to return guys like that, to return guys like Tommy Eichenberg, a heart and soul guy, to return a Lathan Ransom, who's a terrific, versatile contributor, and a guy like Josh Proctor, who's a 6-year guy, onto a defense that's already got, your best players this year have been sophomores. I am very, very bullish about the defense for next year. I think it's going to be a top 15 defense, probably a top 10 defense, maybe even a top 5 defense. I think it's going to be really, really good. And I think it's going to be I think it's going to move from team question mark to team strength this year. And I think that's going to be a tribute to Knowles, but it's also going to be a tribute to all these great players that came back. So yeah, very, very excited to see the team next year.
Yeah, I think that again, we say it every year, they're motivated, they're gonna be hungry, but getting a guy like Tommy back, it's like when you get your two enforcers back in Cade Stover and Tommy Eichenberg, you have one on each side of the ball, guys that kind of can set the tone, run the show. Everybody kind of fears those two just because they're such tough guys, and when they talk, people listen. I think that's huge. I think you've got a lot of hungry guys. I think that a lot of competition. Maybe not at the top spots, like obviously, receiver. The top two are in ink. Obviously Julian had a nice year last year, not anywhere near what Emeka and Marvin are, but he was actually more heralded than either of those guys coming out of high school. And then you've got that feverish fight to be the rotating at 3 and 4, where there was basically no production. We had Jaden Ballard who didn't really play much, which was one of the more perplexing things to me. The fact that he wasn't a punt returner or kick returner, or he had really no role in the offense despite elite speed. Chris Olave said he was the fastest guy on the team at the combine last year, so that kind of raised an eyebrow. You think you'd find a role for that guy, and then you've got Nevada's favorite player in the world, Brandon Innes, is coming in. Carnell Tate's coming in. You got the freshmen that were there that we didn't hear anything about, Caleb Burton, some of these guys. Big years for them. You got the Rogers brothers. And then, this running back room, like, again, I've never seen anything like this, and I just don't know how you keep all of the people here just because, you've got like 6 guys that could start pretty much anywhere in America outside of maybe Bama or Georgia, when you've got, Trey, Mine, Dallin, Evan Pryor, Chip. I mean, those guys are all like high level starters. A guy like Trey is obviously like a franchise type running back. It's perplexing how we have so much depth. It's unbelievable. And then you got our quarterback room. So when you're one of these two quarterbacks, you almost have to be to the point where you're working out at the Woody Hayes 10 hours a day, film study, throwing to the receivers as much as possible. Because if you win the starting quarterback job at Ohio State, it's essentially like a lottery ticket where you get to change your life. You're likely going to be first or second team All Big Ten, first team All Big Ten quarterback for 10 straight years. I've said it since 2012 with Braxton. We've literally had the first team All Big Ten quarterback every year since then. So you're going to be All Big Ten. You're going to have the best weapons in the country, and you're likely going to change your life because you're going to become a potential high level draft pick. I mean, Ryan, last 3 guys, Haskins, Fields, CJ, all top 15 picks in the NFL draft. So, this is a life-changing stretch for Devin Brown and Kyle McCord to fight for this spot. Nevada, recruiting-wise, the Jaden Davis thing is a big topic this week. Yesterday, Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, Corey Dennis, the head coach, offensive coordinator, and quarterbacks coach, respectively, all went down to kind of kiss and make up with Jaden Davis after they kicked him to the curb for Dylan Raiola, who has since kicked us to the curb. What are your thoughts on the dominoes falling? Because the interesting thing is that Matt Weiss, who's the offensive coordinator for Michigan, got whacked yesterday, and he was the lead recruiter in the Jaden Davis recruitment, and everyone's projecting him as crystal ball to Michigan, but they lose the lead recruiter. We send the cavalry down. What are your thoughts on Jaden Davis, and do you believe he ends up being our 2024 quarterback?
Yeah, I want to hear a little bit more from Ohio State as how things went. But Ohio State feels like they've got a lot of momentum going into this. You got to remember, it's not only just the unfortunate situation with the unauthorized computer access or whatever that means up there in Michigan, but you've also got the looming specter of an NCAA potential investigation. You've got Harbaugh's uncertainty up there. I mean, there's a lot swirling around that program right now, and Ohio State feels like they've got the momentum with the kid. We'll know more, as we kind of get the reports as to how those visits went and what type of vibes they were getting back. But they went for a reason. They didn't go there they could have gone anywhere. They went there. I think they feel like that's a productive use of their time, and we'll see if they were correct, but I think they feel like they definitely have recruiting momentum, and that's certainly something in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those fascinating things. You know, we offered a quarterback that's committed to Alabama, who's a 2024. It's just you know, and again, I think Ryan Day's learned a lesson that when you're beholden to you know, a quarterback and their demands and the family who's highly ranked, highly heralded, and you don't really go after the top guys. You know, you could add Dante Moore from Michigan, who's going out to UCLA. You know, you just kind of you question if that was the right strategy. It kind of is though, because when you're dealing with these kids that are these top drawer, elite franchise type quarterbacks, they're gonna make demands. They're gonna say, look, you know, you can't recruit anybody else in my class, can't talk to anybody else in my class, can't sniff around because you know Ryan has been the, you know, he's kind of it's not hoodwinking, but it is kind of big time college football where he takes Jack Miller early. Then you kind of surf until about a month before signing day. Then you sign C.J. Stroud, and guess what? Yes, it was very very clever that he did that because C.J. Stroud is the guy that turned into the first round pick. Jack Miller is down at Florida. You know, started the bowl game. I don't think we really missed anything with him being our quarterback. So it's interesting. Like recruiting quarterbacks, man. It's like defusing a bomb. It's like you got to be very careful and gentle, and if you snip the wrong wire, man, you go kaboom. So it's interesting to see how this goes. Nevada, next couple weeks, you know, there's potential NFL coaching changes. Do you believe our staff stays in place the way it is? The 10 coaches that are our full-time coaches now. Do you believe that those are the 10 guys that'll take the field week 1 of the 2023 season?
I think my question on this is probably changed. I think if you asked me this question a few days ago, I would have said no. I think there's change. I think you asked me today, and I don't think there's going to be change. I think what you see is what you get, and that's that'll be on. You know, when we line it up for spring ball and we line it up for fall camp for 2023. I think that's just my hunch. Now, you know, these things, as soon as I say that, a guy will announce, you know, in an hour that he's leaving. So, you know, I mean, I know how this works, but that's my gun to my head right now. Would have given you a different answer 2-3 days ago, but based on the information I have right now, I think Dave plans to go with what he has.
And it's like Obi-Wan Kenobi said, only Sith steal in absolutes. So yeah, the second you say that this will be the staff in 2023, then somebody will walk out the door and go be coaching corners somewhere else. Quick question. This is a great one, Nick. Any sneaky games next year that you're worried about Nevada? And again, I don't, you know, obviously we'll say that Michigan's not sneaky. Penn State is not sneaky. Any games you're really worried about, particularly in Nevada in the 2023 season?
Well, I you know, again, it's hard to say a sneaky game is at Notre Dame, but you know, I mean, Notre Dame's quarterback's good. I mean, that kid from Wake Forest can really throw it. I mean, he can really throw it, and you know, we'll have 3 games to kind of figure things out, and you know, but that's going to be I think it's going to be a sneaky good game. I think kind of like this Jacksonville Kansas City game's a sneaky good game now that Mahomes just went out with a knee injury. So maybe Jacksonville's got a chance. So for all of you people watching the NFL right now, you could see the great Michigan player Chad Henne come in and play quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Are you kidding? Because I'm not watching the game right now.
No, not kidding.
That really just happened. Chad Henne is in the game again.
He's not in the game yet, but he's warming up, and they've got Mahomes on the sideline taking care of his knee.
Shout out Chad Henne. He was my teammate in Miami. He's actually not a bad guy. I actually didn't mind him, even though he's a Michigan guy. But he did remember that he was 0-4 against us. Yeah, the 4 games obviously that are absolutely brutal at Notre Dame. That at Wisconsin game will be one of the biggest games in Wisconsin's history, just because it's us. It's the Luke Fickell storyline. You know, obviously everybody knows that Luke took that Wisconsin gig because he wants to amplify his resume should Ryan Day ever move on. You know, if he goes up and kills at Wisconsin, then you'd have to think he would be the first call that Gene Smith would make if Ryan Day would ever move on. I'm not saying he ever will, but if he does, you know, you always got to have kind of like a bullpen of who's your first, second, and third call should Ryan Day ever move, which I mean, because again, you just can't be caught flat-footed. That Penn State team is a team that people keep saying is going to be pretty dynamite. It'll be real interesting to see them. We actually get them in the shoe, and then obviously Michigan will be a massive challenge. But yeah, I'm really excited about the season. Again, like the stuff never really stops. Marvin Harrison Jr. just got a good NIL deal here, which is great. Super excited about that. I know people had anxiety and nerves about USC and about all that. So I think that can all be put to bed because that literally just that's in the process of getting finished. So that's good news for us. Any final thoughts about it? I know obviously we got this playoff game going on, but wanted to knock something out while you were available. Any final thoughts on this week? Again, the coaches are all on the road recruiting. A lot of offers went out. We're going to break down a lot of this recruiting film over the next week. Some of these new offers, some of these offensive line offers, running back offers that have been going out. So tune into that. All you guys that are enjoying this channel. Any final thoughts, Nevada, as we wrap this thing and we go check out these NFL games?
No, just the Josh Proctor news. Like I said, I could not be more excited about that. I know why, but I also don't know why. But I just have a feeling it's going to be a super impactful type of situation for Ohio State. And like I said, I love the message that it's sending to everybody. I love what it talks about the culture, what it talks about the relationship with Jim Knowles, and I'm super excited about seeing him in the offense, or excuse me, in the defense. And as I say that, Patrick Mahomes limps back out on the field, so Chad Henne's dreams of playoff glory have been crashed. But maybe later.
Maybe later. No, yeah, exactly. I think this is going to be a really nice Saturday of playoff football. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We are going to wrap this show up. Thank you guys, as always. Comment down below what things are you looking forward to hearing about this offseason? Winter conditioning, the lifting part has started. It started this past week. Mick is putting the screws to these guys, which is fantastic. It's always good to hear the pain in the voices of the players because that means that it is officially time that vacation is over. The winter workouts will start with formal work with the coaches next month when they're off the road after signing day. And then before you guys know it, guys, we'll be at spring ball. I mean, the spring game is literally on it's on the 15th of April, so it'll be here before you know. So that means we're going to be kicking off spring ball in early March. So guys, I'm telling you, we're almost to February. 1 month. We're going to be grinding through recruiting film to keep you guys satiated with Ohio State football activity. So stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button for us. As always, that's always huge for us. Click subscribe. If you enjoy our stuff via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. Appreciate you guys. As always, helps people find the podcast. We are #1 in the Ohio State space. So thank you guys so much. You guys have been spreading the word. We've been marketing this thing like crazy, big time guerrilla marketing effort. But thank you guys for all of your help with that. With that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I will be on BuckeyeScoop.com all night long, going through this game thread, talking football, talking recruiting. Bill Green is down in Florida. We're going to catch up with him hopefully tomorrow. I'll get a little podcast knocked off before the NFL game starts. So I would love to, you guys, hopefully we'll get them early in the morning. If you guys want BuckeyeScoop.com, I will put the time up on the site, and you guys will be ready to tune in and ask the bank his questions as he is down in Florida. He was at a huge 7-on-7 tournament yesterday and today. He was with Steve Whitfong from 247, who's probably the best recruiting guy there is. So big time news from the bank coming from Florida. So I'm super excited to get some of the tea for you guys tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. Go enjoy some great NFL football with your family. I'll talk to you guys soon. Go Bucks.